On February 24th, 2022, Russian army invaded Romania, launching its attacks on 4 different routes. Through the northwestern border, Halmeu, Săpânța, and Sighet, through the northeastern border, Putna, Rădăuți, and Dărăbani, through the eastern border, mainly Iași, but also Huși and Galați, through the southern border, Tulcea and Constanța. A massive, full-scale invasion. Within the first days, the Russian troops reached Satu Mare, Baia Mare, Suceava, and Botoșani. In a week, Iași and Constanța were under Russian control. On the bright side, at the end of the first month after the invasion, Romanian army succeeded to push the Russians back in the northwest, retaking Hamleu, Săpânța, and Sighet, and stopping the advancement of the invaders across the lines Galați, Tecuci, Mărășești on the eastern front and Călăraș-Galați on the southeastern front. In less than a month, Romania has lost more than 20% of its territory. In less than a month, puppet governments were set in Iași and Constanța, and the Republic of Free Moldova and Free Dobrogea were proclaimed. Children under the age of 12 from across the occupied territories were sent to Russian patriotic camps to learn about the so-called persecution their families suffered during the centuries-long Romanian domination. Many will never return. The Romanian government decided that all men under the age of 50 were conscripted to fight in the war alongside all women under the age of 35, regardless of their social status. Over 200,000 civilians have been killed, many in the first weeks of the invasions, in an attempt of ethnic cleansing. The population of a city the size of Oradea has been wiped out. The Russians targeted mainly the energy infrastructure, destroying or forcefully shutting down Cernavodă nuclear plant, Porțile de Fier, Ploiești oil fields, and Mediaș gas infrastructure. The cruelty of Russian troops was shocking. Many cases had been recorded in which civilians were killed for not being able to speak Russian or for not wanting to enroll in the Russian army. At the beginning of the invasion, at a fancy bar in Craiova, a group of 4 friends were watching a soccer game, when suddenly the TV started broadcasting the unfolding of the events at the eastern border of the country. Initially, they believed the images were part of a prank, then panicked and called their families, reassuring themselves that everything was going to be fine. In the end, their hearts started pumping angry, thinking the history was pulling the country through a cruel destiny. Romania did nothing wrong to Russia and never tried to conquer or harm its much stronger neighbor. Two of the friends decided to join the army and defend their country. One chose to flee the country, and the 4th one tried to avoid conscription and have a normal life at home in his home city. The friends who joined the army were killed in the first year of the war, when their outpost was attacked by a large number of Russians. They were outnumbered 5-1, and despite the bravery, the lack of manpower and ammunition ended in their defeat and tragic death. The 3rd one was captured while trying to cross the border and forcefully sent to the front line. He also fought fiercely until a storm of Russian drones attacked his hideout and wounded him severely, eventually causing him to lose his life. The 4th friend, not bearing so much tragedy around himself and facing imminent conscription and deployment, decided to end his life. Similar heartbreaking stories can be found across Oltenia, in Telorman, in Brașov, Alba, and Mureș. Families destroyed, children, parents, and elderly decimated. Topics like democratic elections, economic growth, urban planning, family dinners, and weekend city breaks disappeared and were replaced by the lack of heating, food shortages, limp treatments, and burial places. Every single news crew had a war story in which a journalist, the cameraman, the copywriter, or the weather person has been killed, gone missing, or is fighting between life and death in an improvised front-line hospital. There were no more weddings, but funerals. No more newborns, but rebirths from the front line. No more birthdays, but celebrations of one more day Ukraine survived the Russian invasion. Over 1,000 days since brave Ukrainians managed to show the entire world that Russia can be defeated, and we, the world, cannot get tired of this ongoing aggression, but tireless be aware and support the splendid, heroic struggle Ukrainian nation is facing its cruel destiny.